In the peaceful gardens of Jetavana Monastery, where the Buddha often taught his disciples, the monks gathered together and spoke quietly among themselves. The evening breeze moved gently through the trees. The golden light of sunset fell across the monastery paths, and the sound of leaves rustling blended with the calm voices of the monks. They were discussing an incident that had recently happened among ordinary people. One monk said, "There are people in this world who are gentle and kind-hearted. They do not harm others, they speak with compassion, and they try to live peacefully. Yet some people take advantage of their kindness. They mock them, insult them, and deliberately cause them suffering." Another monk replied, "It is difficult to remain calm when someone repeatedly hurts you. Many people may endure one insult, but when the pain continues again and again, anger naturally arises in the heart." The monks continued discussing the matter. They wondered why some people could endure humiliation without hatred, while others immediately responded with anger and revenge. At that moment, the Buddha walked near the gathering place. Seeing the monks engaged in conversation, he gently asked, "What are you discussing together?" The monks respectfully stood up, bowed to the Buddha, and explained everything they had been discussing. After listening carefully, the Buddha said, "Monks, patience and gentleness are not signs of weakness. They are qualities cultivated by those who walk the path of wisdom. A person who can control anger when facing harm is stronger than someone who defeats others through violence." The Buddha continued, "Long ago, before I attained enlightenment, I had already practiced the perfection of patience through countless lives. Even when I was harmed, insulted, or treated unfairly, I tried not to create hatred in my heart. Let me tell you a story from one of my previous lives. In that distant time, I was not a human being. I was born as a great buffalo king. Although I lived as an animal, my heart was filled with kindness and patience. I protected my companions, avoided harming others, and practiced compassion whenever I faced difficulties. Because of this patience, even those who witnessed my life were able to understand the true meaning of endurance." The Buddha then began telling the monks about an ancient forest near the city of Varanasi. Long ago, outside the kingdom of Varanasi, there was a vast forest filled with tall trees, clear streams, and peaceful lakes. Among the many creatures living there was a magnificent buffalo king. His body was powerful and strong. His horns were long and shining. His steps were steady, and his presence gave confidence to the buffalo herd that followed him. But although he possessed great physical strength, the Buffalo King never used his power to harm others. His heart was gentle. He believed that strength should be used to protect life, not to destroy it. Near the edge of the forest was a beautiful lake surrounded by large ancient trees. The grass around the lake was green and fresh, and many animals came there to drink water and rest. The Buffalo King often brought his herd to this peaceful place. During the hot days, he would stand beneath a large tree near the lake, allowing the cool shadow to cover his body. However, unknown to him, a mischievous monkey lived among the branches of that tree. This monkey was very different from the other animals in the forest. It was arrogant, playful, and cruel. Instead of helping others or living peacefully, it enjoyed making trouble. Whenever it saw another animal resting below the tree, it would try to disturb them. One day, the monkey noticed the great buffalo king resting beneath the tree. The buffalo was enormous, calm, and completely peaceful. The monkey looked down from the branches and thought, "This buffalo is so large, yet he does nothing when others bother him. Perhaps I can play with him." The monkey climbed down from the tree and approached the buffalo king. At first, it simply jumped around him. The buffalo king noticed the monkey's actions but remained completely still. He did not become angry. He did not chase the monkey away. He simply continued resting peacefully beneath the tree. Seeing that the buffalo king did not react, the monkey became even more confident. It began to believe that the gentle buffalo would never resist. And from that day onward, the monkey's behavior became more and more disrespectful. The story of the patient buffalo king was about to reveal one of the deepest teachings of compassion. True strength is not always shown through victory over others. Sometimes, the greatest strength is the ability to remain peaceful when facing hatred. Days passed quietly in the forest. The great buffalo king continued living near the peaceful lake with his herd. Every morning, when the sunlight appeared above the trees, the buffaloes would walk through the grasslands searching for fresh water and green plants. The buffalo king always walked calmly at the front of the herd. He watched over the younger buffaloes and protected the weaker ones. Although he was powerful enough to defeat any animal that challenged him, he never used violence unless absolutely necessary. His companions respected him not because of his strength, but because of his gentle heart. However, the monkey living in the tree had discovered something unusual. The buffalo king would not become angry. No matter what the monkey did, the buffalo remained calm. To the monkey, this patience did not look like wisdom. Instead, the monkey misunderstood it as weakness. It thought, "This great buffalo has such a large body and powerful horns, but he does not even dare to fight back. Perhaps he is afraid of me." With this thought, the monkey's arrogance grew stronger. Every day, when the buffalo king rested beneath the tree, the monkey would climb down from the branches and disturb him. Sometimes, the monkey would jump onto the buffalo's back and run around as if playing on a hill. Sometimes, it grabbed the buffalo's long horns and swung back and forth, laughing loudly. Other times, it pulled the buffalo's tail or jumped around his body, trying to make him lose patience. But the Buffalo King remained silent. He simply closed his eyes and endured. The other animals in the forest witnessed these scenes and felt confused. They could not understand why such a powerful creature allowed a small monkey to treat him this way. One animal whispered, "Why does the Buffalo King not stop this monkey? With just one movement of his horns, he could easily send the monkey away." Another animal replied, "Perhaps the Buffalo King has a reason. He is not ordinary. His heart seems to be filled with kindness." But the monkey did not understand the Buffalo King's compassion. Instead, every time the buffalo refused to respond, the monkey became more confident. It began to believe that there was no consequence for its actions. One morning, the monkey became even more disrespectful. The Buffalo King was resting peacefully beneath the tree after drinking from the lake. The monkey suddenly jumped onto his back. It pulled his ears, grabbed his horns, and laughed loudly. Then, in an even more insulting act, it deliberately humiliated the Buffalo King without any concern for his dignity. The animals watching nearby were shocked. They thought, "Surely the Buffalo King will become angry this time. Surely even the most patient creature has a limit." But the Buffalo King still remained peaceful. His eyes were calm. His heart was free from hatred. Inside his mind, he thought, "This monkey does not understand the suffering it creates. If I become angry and hurt it, I will only create more suffering." A moment of anger may feel satisfying, but the consequences of anger can last for a long time. Therefore, I will protect my own heart and not allow hatred to control me. The Buffalo King understood something that the monkey did not. A person who harms others because of arrogance is already creating the causes of future suffering. There was no need for him to create another harmful action. However, the monkey's behavior continued to become worse. It began disturbing the Buffalo King every single day. The creatures of the forest slowly became worried. They feared that one day the Buffalo King's patience would finally disappear. Among those who watched everything was the guardian spirit of the great tree. This tree spirit had lived in that forest for many years. It had seen countless animals come and go. It understood the nature of the creatures living around the lake. The tree spirit admired the Buffalo King's kindness, but at the same time, it could not understand why he accepted such cruel treatment. One day, after watching the monkey insult the Buffalo King again, the tree spirit decided that it could no longer remain silent. From inside the ancient tree, a gentle golden light appeared. The branches moved softly. The leaves trembled. And the tree spirit revealed itself before the Buffalo King. The spirit stood among the branches and looked down at the peaceful buffalo. With concern in its voice, it asked, "O noble Buffalo King, why do you continue allowing this foolish monkey to insult you? You possess great strength. Your horns are powerful. With only one movement, you could easily drive this monkey away. Why do you choose to endure such humiliation?" The Buffalo King slowly opened his eyes. He looked at the tree spirit calmly. There was no anger in his expression. Only wisdom and compassion. Then he prepared to explain why he chose patience instead of revenge. The ancient tree spirit waited quietly for the Buffalo King's answer. The forest became silent. The birds stopped singing for a moment. The wind moved gently through the branches, as if the entire forest was listening. The tree spirit had expected the Buffalo King to complain. It thought the buffalo would speak about the monkey's cruelty, its daily insults, and the suffering it had endured. But instead, the Buffalo King remained peaceful. After a moment of silence, he spoke with a calm and gentle voice. "O guardian spirit of this great tree, I know that the monkey's actions are wrong. I know that it has treated me without kindness or respect. But anger is not the answer. If I allow anger to arise in my heart, then although my body may remain unharmed, my mind will already have been defeated." The tree spirit listened carefully. The Buffalo King continued, "This monkey does not understand the consequences of its actions. It sees my patience and mistakes it for weakness. It sees my kindness and thinks it means I cannot fight back. But the truth is different. I have the strength to harm this monkey. I have the power to use my horns against it. If I wished, this suffering could end immediately. However, if I acted out of anger and killed this creature, it would create a terrible consequence for myself. I would commit the act of taking another life. I would create harmful karma because of a moment of hatred." The tree spirit looked at the Buffalo King with surprise. The spirit asked, "But noble Buffalo King, is it not wrong to allow evil behavior to continue? Should not those who harm others be stopped?" The Buffalo King replied, "Stopping harm and creating more harm are not the same thing. If someone is acting foolishly, responding with hatred only creates another foolish action. If someone throws fire into the world, should I also become fire? If someone carries anger in their heart, should I allow that anger to enter my own heart?" The tree spirit became silent. The Buffalo King continued, "This monkey does not know who is truly strong and who is truly weak. It believes that because I do not attack, I am powerless. But true power is not measured by how much damage one can cause. True power is the ability to control oneself when one has the ability to destroy." The tree spirit was deeply moved by these words. The Buffalo King then looked toward the branches where the monkey usually stayed and said, "This monkey believes that it has escaped every consequence because I have not punished it. but every action carries its own result. One day, this monkey will meet another creature who does not possess patience. If it continues behaving with arrogance and cruelty, eventually it will create a situation that brings suffering back to itself. At that time, I will not have created hatred. I will not have created violence. I will remain free from the burden of harming another life. The tree spirit finally understood. The Buffalo King was not enduring because he was afraid. He was enduring because he understood the law of cause and effect. He was not silent because he was weak. He was silent because his wisdom was greater than his anger. The tree spirit bowed respectfully and said, "O great Buffalo King, today I have learned something precious. Many beings believe that revenge brings justice, but you have shown me that revenge often creates another cycle of suffering. You possess the strength of a warrior, but the heart of a compassionate sage." The Buffalo King lowered his head peacefully. He did not seek praise. He did not desire recognition. For him, practicing patience was not a way to appear noble. It was simply the right path. Meanwhile, the monkey continued its careless behavior. It still believed that the Buffalo King would never respond. It did not know that the world was already preparing a lesson for it. Several days later, the Buffalo King decided to leave the forest for a while. The dry season had arrived, and he needed to search for better grasslands and fresh water for his herd. Before leaving, he looked back at the peaceful lake and the ancient tree. The place had given him many opportunities to practice patience. Although he had suffered humiliation there, he carried no hatred when he departed. He simply walked away peacefully. The monkey watched from the branches as the great Buffalo King disappeared into the forest. It laughed and thought, "The old buffalo has finally gone. Now there is no one here to ignore me. I can do whatever I want." The monkey did not realize that patience is not the same as endless permission. The Buffalo King had chosen compassion. But compassion does not erase the natural consequences of harmful actions. And soon, another buffalo would arrive beneath that same tree. A buffalo with a completely different nature. A buffalo who did not possess the same patience. The monkey's future lesson was approaching. After the great Buffalo King left the forest, the peaceful lake remained quiet. The ancient tree still stood beside the water. The gentle wind still moved through the leaves. The animals continued their daily lives. But the monkey felt happier than ever. Without the patient Buffalo King beneath the tree, it believed that no one could stop its actions. The monkey continued jumping between the branches, disturbing other creatures, and enjoying the feeling of having control over the area. It had mistaken kindness for weakness. It had mistaken patience for fear. It did not understand that the Buffalo King had not been unable to respond. He had simply chosen not to create hatred. One morning, a different buffalo arrived near the lake. Unlike the previous Buffalo King, this buffalo had a very different personality. He was extremely strong, but his mind was filled with anger. He was easily irritated. Even a small disturbance could make him lose control. His eyes were sharp. His movements were impatient. When other animals saw him approaching, they quickly moved away. They sensed that this buffalo was not like the gentle Buffalo King who had lived there before. The new buffalo walked beneath the same ancient tree where the monkey usually stayed. He was tired after traveling a long distance, so he rested beneath the cool shadow. The monkey soon noticed the new visitor. Looking down from the branches, it thought, "Another buffalo has come. He looks even stronger than the one before." But the previous buffalo never fought back. Perhaps all buffaloes are the same. The monkey laughed. It believed that it had discovered an easy target again. Without hesitation, it jumped down from the tree. At first, it circled around the buffalo. The buffalo opened his eyes and looked at the monkey. There was already irritation in his expression. But the monkey ignored the warning. It climbed onto the buffalo's back. It pulled his ears. It grabbed his horns. It repeated the same actions it had done before. The monkey expected the buffalo to remain silent. It expected the same patience it had always seen. But this time was different. This buffalo did not have the calm heart of the previous Buffalo King. The repeated insults quickly awakened his anger. The other animals watching from a distance became nervous. They remembered how the patient Buffalo King had endured everything peacefully. But they also knew, this buffalo was not the same. The monkey continued its cruelty. It laughed loudly and jumped around the buffalo's body. It believed nothing would happen. Then suddenly, the buffalo's eyes opened wide. His body became tense. His anger exploded like a storm. With a powerful movement, he shook his body violently. The monkey, caught by surprise, lost its balance and was thrown from the buffalo's back. It fell heavily onto the ground. Before the monkey could escape, the angry buffalo rushed forward. His patience had already disappeared. His anger had taken control. The animals nearby cried out in fear. They watched as the consequences of the monkey's arrogance finally arrived. The monkey, which had spent so many days humiliating the gentle Buffalo King, now faced a creature that did not possess the same compassion. The scene became silent. The ancient tree spirit watched everything from above. The spirit remembered the words of the previous Buffalo King. The gentle Buffalo King had once said, "One day, this monkey will meet a creature that does not possess patience." At that time, the tree spirit understood those words as wisdom. Now, it saw them become reality. The tree spirit did not celebrate the monkey's suffering. It felt sadness. Because the monkey's suffering had not come from revenge. It had come from its own repeated actions. The monkey had been given many opportunities to change. It had been protected by another being's patience. But instead of learning humility, it became more arrogant. The tree spirit looked at the scene and thought, the gentle Buffalo King was correct. Patience is not weakness. Compassion is not fear. The one who controls anger protects himself from creating suffering. But the one who follows arrogance and cruelty eventually creates suffering for himself. The animals of the forest also began to understand the deeper lesson. They had once wondered why the Buffalo King allowed the monkey to continue. Now they realized, the Buffalo King was not powerless. He was simply protecting his own heart from hatred. His patience was a choice. His silence was wisdom. His compassion was strength. The forest returned to silence. The great tree continued standing beside the lake. But the memory of the patient Buffalo King remained in the hearts of all creatures who had witnessed his actions. They understood that true nobility does not come from defeating others. It comes from mastering oneself. After witnessing the fate of the arrogant monkey, the ancient tree spirit remained silent for a long time. The forest was peaceful again. The lake reflected the light of the sky. The leaves moved gently with the wind. But inside the heart of the tree spirit, many thoughts appeared. It remembered the patient Buffalo King who had once rested beneath the tree. It remembered how that noble creature had endured endless humiliation without anger. At that time, the tree spirit had not fully understood. It had wondered, why does such a powerful being refuse to fight? Why does someone with the ability to defend himself choose to remain silent? But now, after seeing everything that happened, the tree spirit finally understood the wisdom behind the Buffalo King's decision. The Buffalo King had never been weak. He had never been afraid. He had simply seen a truth that others could not see. Anger may defeat an enemy for a moment, but patience protects the heart forever. The tree spirit looked toward the distant forest path where the Buffalo King had disappeared. It whispered, O noble Buffalo King, your wisdom was greater than I imagined. You understood that revenge does not truly solve suffering. You understood that hatred only creates more hatred. You chose peace, not because you lacked strength, but because your compassion was stronger than your anger. The tree spirit continued watching over the forest. Days passed. The animals who had witnessed the events slowly began sharing the lesson with one another. They spoke about the difference between patience and weakness. They realized that many beings misunderstand kindness. When they see someone gentle, they often think, "This person can be controlled." When someone does not fight back, they assume that person has no courage. But the story of the Buffalo King showed a different truth. A calm mind is not an empty mind. A gentle heart is not a powerless heart. A person who chooses not to harm others, even when they have the ability to do so, possesses a rare form of strength. Meanwhile, far away in another part of the forest, the great Buffalo King continued his journey. He walked across wide fields. He crossed streams. He searched for fresh grass and clean water. Although he had left the place where the monkey had troubled him, he carried no resentment. He did not think, "That monkey deserved punishment." He did not think, "I hope it suffers." His heart remained peaceful. For him, the matter had already ended. He had done what was right according to his understanding. He had protected his own mind from anger. He had avoided creating harmful actions. That was enough. One evening, as the sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains, the Buffalo King rested beneath another tree. The sky became golden. The forest became quiet. Looking at the peaceful scene, he reflected, "Every creature acts according to its understanding. Some beings are controlled by ignorance. Some beings are controlled by anger. Some beings are controlled by desire. If I allow their confusion to create anger within me, then I become no different from them. So I must continue guarding my own heart." The Buffalo King understood a profound principle: other people's actions belong to them. But our reactions belong to us. A person may choose to insult us. A person may choose to harm us. But whether we allow hatred to enter our hearts is our own choice. This was the true meaning of patience. Not simply enduring suffering, but remaining free from becoming the same as those who create suffering. Back near the ancient lake, the tree spirit continued remembering the Buffalo King's words. The spirit realized that the Buffalo King's patience had protected not only himself. It had also protected the monkey. Because if the Buffalo King had killed the monkey in anger, the monkey would have lost its life, and the Buffalo King would have created harmful karma. Instead, he gave the monkey time. He allowed the monkey's own actions to reveal their consequences. The tree spirit finally understood, sometimes, the greatest kindness is not stopping every consequence. Sometimes, allowing beings to learn from their own actions is also compassion. The Buddha's teaching was hidden within this ancient story. When we respond to hatred with hatred, suffering continues. When we respond to hatred with wisdom, suffering begins to end. The patient Buffalo King had achieved something greater than defeating an enemy. He had defeated anger itself. After finishing the story of the patient Buffalo King, the Buddha paused for a moment. The monks sitting before him remained completely silent. They had listened carefully from the beginning until the end. The story was simple. A buffalo, a monkey, a tree spirit. Yet behind these ordinary events was a profound teaching about the human mind. The monks began reflecting on their own behavior. They remembered moments when someone had spoken harshly to them. They remembered situations when they had been treated unfairly. They remembered times when anger had appeared in their hearts. Many of them realized that although they practiced the Buddha's teachings, they still struggled with resentment. They could understand compassion in theory. But when faced with insult or humiliation, maintaining peace was not easy. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "Monks, the practice of patience is not completed by simply remaining silent. True patience means that while facing difficulty, the heart does not become filled with hatred. A person who remains quiet while secretly burning with anger has not yet understood patience. The true practitioner removes anger from the root." The monks listened deeply. The Buddha continued, "In that previous life, when I was the Buffalo King, I possessed the strength to destroy the monkey. My body was powerful. My horns were sharp. If I had chosen violence, no one could have stopped me. But I understood that defeating another being through anger is not a true victory. The greatest victory is defeating the anger within oneself." The monks lowered their heads respectfully. They understood that the Buddha was not only telling a story about an animal from the past, he was teaching them how to face their own lives. Every person encounters a monkey in different forms. Sometimes it appears as someone who insults us. Sometimes it appears as someone who misunderstands us. Sometimes it appears as someone who intentionally causes trouble. But the real challenge is not the external person. The real challenge is our own reaction. The Buddha said, "When another person creates anger in you, they have placed a seed. But whether that seed grows into hatred depends on whether you choose to water it. If you respond with anger, hatred grows. If you respond with wisdom, hatred disappears." The monks reflected on these words. They realized that the mind is like a garden. Every thought is a seed. Every emotion is something we allow to grow. If we constantly feed anger, anger becomes stronger. If we cultivate patience, compassion, and understanding, the heart becomes peaceful. The Buddha then continued, "Do not think that patience means accepting all harmful actions without wisdom. Patience does not mean allowing others to continue causing endless harm. Patience means responding without hatred. A wise person may stop harmful behavior, but the heart remains free from revenge." This teaching was important, because many people misunderstand patience. Some believe patience means weakness. Some believe kindness means allowing everyone to hurt them. But the Buddha showed another path. A person can be firm without hatred. A person can protect themselves without revenge. A person can reject harmful behavior while maintaining compassion. This was the balance of true wisdom. The monks listened with peaceful minds. The Buddha then revealed the identities of the beings from the story. "Monks, do you know who that patient buffalo king was? He was none other than myself in a previous life. The monkey who behaved arrogantly and harmed others was the kind of person who, in this world, relies on strength to bully and insult the gentle. And the tree spirit who witnessed everything was my disciple Shariputra." When the monks heard this, they felt deep admiration. They understood that the Buddha had practiced patience through countless lives. He had not become enlightened suddenly. His wisdom had been cultivated through endless acts of compassion, kindness, and self-control. The Buddha continued, "Even when I was only a buffalo, I could practice patience. I could avoid hatred. I could refuse to create suffering. How much more should those who have left worldly life, wear robes, and practice the Dharma cultivate a gentle and patient heart?" The monks felt their minds open. They understood that wearing robes alone did not make someone a true practitioner. True practice was found in the heart. It was shown through thoughts, through words, through actions. A person who could remain compassionate when facing difficulty was truly walking the path. The evening light slowly entered Jataka monastery. The monks sat quietly, reflecting on the Buddha's teaching. The story of the Buffalo King remained in their hearts. They made a determination, from that day forward, they would practice patience more sincerely. They would not immediately follow anger. They would not allow hatred to control their minds. They would cultivate softness, understanding, and compassion. The monks remained seated before the Buddha, quietly absorbing the teaching. The story of the Buffalo King continued echoing in their minds. They had heard many teachings about compassion before. They had learned that hatred creates suffering. They had learned that anger brings painful consequences. But through the story of the Buffalo King, these teachings became something they could truly see and understand. The Buddha noticed the transformation in the hearts of his disciples. He gently said, "Monks, remember this well. Patience is not simply a way to tolerate unpleasant situations. Patience is a way to protect the purity of your own mind. When another person acts with cruelty, you cannot always control their behavior. But you can always choose what happens inside your own heart." The monks listened carefully. The Buddha continued, "Imagine that someone holds a burning piece of coal and throws it toward you. If you become angry and pick up another burning coal to throw back, both of you will be burned. But if you remain calm and do not accept that fire, the suffering ends with the first person. In the same way, hatred is like fire. The person who carries hatred burns themselves before they can harm others." The monks reflected deeply on this metaphor. They understood that anger often creates the greatest suffering for the person who holds it. A person who is filled with hatred may believe they are punishing an enemy. But in reality, their own heart loses peace first. The Buddha said, "The monkey in the story was controlled by arrogance. It believed that humiliating another being made it powerful. But arrogance always creates blindness. A person who cannot see the consequences of their own actions walks towards suffering without realizing it." The monks remembered the monkey. At first, the monkey appeared to be the winner. It could disturb the Buffalo King every day. It could act without restraint. It could laugh while causing pain. But in the end, its own behavior became the cause of its suffering. The Buddha explained, "Karma does not always appear immediately. Sometimes the result of an action arrives later. Because of this, foolish people may believe that harmful actions have no consequences. But the law of cause and effect never disappears. Every thought, every word, and every action plants a seed. When the conditions are complete, that seed will produce its result." The monks understood that the Buffalo King had recognized this truth. He did not need to punish the monkey. He did not need to seek revenge. He trusted the natural law of cause and effect. This was the wisdom of patience. The Buddha then spoke about another important point. However, monks, do not misunderstand compassion. Compassion does not mean approving harmful behavior. It does not mean allowing injustice to continue without wisdom. A compassionate person may prevent harm. A compassionate person may establish boundaries. But inside their heart, they do not wish suffering upon others. This teaching helped the monks understand a subtle difference. There is a difference between patience and helplessness. There is a difference between kindness and weakness. There is a difference between forgiveness and allowing repeated harm. The Buffalo King was not unable to fight. He was not trapped. He made a conscious choice. He chose not to create hatred. He chose not to create violence. He chose to protect his own spiritual path. This was why his patience was so powerful. The Buddha said, "Many people believe victory means defeating another person. But the wise understand that the greatest victory is victory over oneself. To defeat anger is greater than defeating an enemy. To overcome hatred is greater than overcoming another person. To protect compassion within the heart is greater than possessing worldly power." The monks felt great inspiration. They understood that spiritual practice was not only about meditation, rituals, or knowledge. It was about transforming the heart. Every difficult person they encountered could become a teacher. Every painful situation could become a chance to practice. Every moment of anger could become an opportunity to develop wisdom. The Buddha then said, "Do not wait until you encounter great suffering before practicing patience. Practice it in small moments. When someone speaks unpleasant words, practice patience. When someone misunderstands you, practice patience. When someone behaves foolishly, practice patience." Small moments of patience become great strength over time. The monks looked at one another. They realized that the path of enlightenment was built through countless small choices. A person does not suddenly become peaceful. Peace is cultivated moment by moment. Just as a river becomes great by collecting many small streams, wisdom grows through countless acts of awareness. The night became deeper around Jataka monastery. The lamps burned softly. The monks remained peaceful and thoughtful. The story of the patient Buffalo King was no longer only a story from a distant past. It had become a mirror reflecting their own hearts. They saw their own anger. They saw their own attachments. They saw the places where patience was still incomplete. And they understood that every moment was an opportunity to practice. The teaching continued beneath the quiet sky of Jataka monastery. The monks sat peacefully, but their minds were filled with deep reflection. They began to understand that the story of the Buffalo King was not only about an animal from a distant age. It was about every living being who faces conflict, insult, and suffering. Every person encounters moments when their patience is tested. A harsh word. An unfair accusation. a misunderstanding, a deliberate insult. These moments reveal the true condition of the heart. The Buddha said, "Monks, anyone can appear peaceful when everything goes according to their wishes. When people praise them, respect them, and treat them kindly, anger is easy to avoid. But the true test of practice appears when difficulties arrive. When someone speaks against you, when someone harms you, when someone challenges your pride, then you will discover whether patience truly exists within you." The monks reflected silently. They understood that kindness during peaceful times was not difficult. The difficult practice was maintaining kindness during suffering. The Buddha continued, "The Buffalo King was not tested when the forest was peaceful. He was tested when the monkey repeatedly insulted him." The value of patience is revealed only when there is a reason to become angry. This teaching entered deeply into the monks' hearts. They realized that challenges were not always obstacles on the spiritual path. Sometimes, they were opportunities. A difficult person could reveal their hidden anger. A painful situation could reveal their attachments. A moment of conflict could reveal where their practice was incomplete. The Buddha said, "Do not hate those who reveal your weaknesses. Instead, be grateful that they have shown you where you still need to grow." The monks were surprised by this teaching. Most people considered difficult people as enemies. But the Buddha showed another perspective. Someone who tests your patience can become a teacher of patience. Someone who creates difficulty can become a teacher of wisdom. Someone who causes anger can reveal the places where your heart still needs healing. The Buddha then explained, "However, this does not mean you should seek suffering. Do not deliberately place yourself in harmful situations. Do not create unnecessary conflicts. But when difficulties naturally appear, meet them with awareness. Use them as opportunities to strengthen compassion." The monks understood. The path of patience was not passive acceptance. It was an active practice of awareness. It required observing the mind. It required understanding emotions. It required choosing wisdom instead of instinct. The Buddha continued, "Anger often appears quickly. It rises like a sudden storm. But wisdom is like the mountain that remains unmoved. When storms come, the mountain does not chase the clouds away. It simply remains steady." The monks imagined the great Buffalo King standing beneath the tree. The monkey jumped. The monkey shouted. The monkey caused suffering. Yet the Buffalo King remained like a mountain. His body was there. His mind was peaceful. His heart was untouched by hatred. This was the true meaning of inner freedom. The Buddha said, "A person controlled by anger is like someone carrying a heavy burden. Every angry thought adds another stone. Every moment of resentment increases the weight. But a person who practices forgiveness puts down that burden. Their heart becomes lighter. The monks understood that forgiveness was not a gift given only to others. It was also a gift given to oneself. When people hold on to anger, they continue suffering long after the original event has ended. The person who caused harm may have already forgotten. But the angry person continues carrying the pain. The Buddha said, to release hatred does not mean saying that harmful actions were correct. It means refusing to allow those actions to poison your own heart. This was the wisdom of the Buffalo King. He did not say, the monkey's behavior is acceptable. He did not say, being harmed does not matter. He understood the monkey's actions were wrong. But he also understood that allowing anger to control him would create another wrong. Therefore, he chose the path of wisdom. As the night continued, the monks became more peaceful. They felt that the Buddha's teaching was not something distant or impossible. It was something they could practice every day. In every conversation. In every disagreement. In every moment of difficulty. The story of the Buffalo King became a guide for their own lives. They made a silent determination, when facing anger, they would remember patience. When facing hatred, they would remember compassion. When facing insult, they would remember wisdom. Because they now understood, the person who controls their own heart is stronger than the person who controls others through force. The Buddha continued speaking to the monks beneath the peaceful night sky. The lamps of Jataka monastery shone softly. The fragrance of flowers spread through the air. Everything around them was calm, but within the hearts of the monks, a deep transformation was taking place. They began to understand that patience was not merely a virtue to admire. It was a path that had to be practiced. The Buddha said, "Monks, every quality of the heart is like a seed. A seed does not become a great tree in one day. It requires time, care, and constant nourishment. In the same way, patience grows through countless small choices." The monks listened carefully. The Buddha continued, "When someone speaks harshly to you, you have a choice. You may allow anger to grow. Or you may plant the seed of patience. When someone misunderstands you, you have a choice. You may create resentment. or you may cultivate understanding. When someone behaves without wisdom, you have a choice. You may respond with the same confusion, or you may respond with compassion. The monks realized that every moment of life was a place of practice. Patience was not something reserved for great hardships. It was cultivated through ordinary daily experiences. A kind word instead of an angry word. A moment of silence instead of a harmful reaction. A thoughtful response instead of an impulsive action. These small decisions slowly transformed the mind. The Buddha said, the Buffalo King practiced patience not only when facing the monkey. He practiced patience because compassion had already become part of his nature. A person who only acts peacefully when there is no difficulty has not yet developed true patience. The true practitioner carries peace even into difficult situations. The monks reflected on this. They understood that many people tried to appear calm externally, but inside, they still carried anger. True practice was not about controlling appearances. It was about transforming the heart itself. The Buddha continued, do not measure your progress by how others treat you. Measure your progress by how your mind responds. If someone insults you and you immediately become angry, you have discovered an area where practice is needed. If someone insults you and your heart remains peaceful, you have strengthened your wisdom. This is how you understand your own growth. The monks felt encouraged. They realized that difficult experiences were not signs of failure. They were opportunities to see themselves more clearly. The Buddha then spoke about compassion toward those who act wrongly. Monks, when you see someone behaving with cruelty, do not immediately hate that person. Understand that harmful behavior often comes from ignorance. A person who harms others is often suffering from confusion within. This does not mean accepting their actions. It means understanding the source of their actions. The monks remembered the monkey. The monkey was not truly powerful. Although it acted arrogantly, its behavior came from ignorance. It did not understand the consequences of its actions. It did not understand the value of kindness. It did not understand that every action returns to the one who creates it. The Buddha said, anger toward an angry person only increases anger. Hatred toward a hateful person only increases hatred. But compassion toward confusion can create the possibility of change. This was the reason the Buffalo King did not hate the monkey. He saw beyond the monkey's behavior. He saw the ignorance behind the behavior. He understood that the monkey was creating suffering for itself. Therefore, he chose not to add more suffering to the world. The Buddha then gave another teaching, monks, the world will always contain beings who act without wisdom. You cannot remove every foolish person from your life. You cannot prevent every unpleasant event. But you can train your own mind. A trained mind remains peaceful even when surrounded by difficulties. An untrained mind creates suffering even in peaceful conditions. The monks understood. The greatest battlefield was not outside. It was within. The most important victory was not defeating another person. It was defeating greed, anger, and ignorance within oneself. The Buddha's voice remained calm as he concluded this part of the teaching. The Buffalo King was great not because he was stronger than the monkey. He was great because he was stronger than his own anger. The person who conquers others may be powerful for a moment. But the person who conquers themselves possesses lasting strength. The monks sat quietly. The night became deeper. The stars above Jataka monastery appeared brighter. Inside their hearts, the monks planted a new intention: to practice patience, to cultivate compassion, to respond with wisdom. They understood that enlightenment was not created by one great moment. It was created through countless moments of mindful choice. The night at Jataka monastery became completely silent. The Buddha looked at the monks sitting before him. Their faces were calm. Their minds were peaceful. The story of the patient Buffalo King had reached its conclusion, but the lesson within it continued flowing like a clear river. The Buddha knew that stories were not only meant to entertain. A true story of wisdom should transform the way people see themselves and the world around them. Therefore, after telling the story, the Buddha gave his final teaching. Monks, remember this. In life, you will meet many different beings. Some will treat you with kindness. Some will misunderstand you. Some will criticize you. Some may even try to harm you. But your freedom does not depend on how others behave. Your freedom depends on whether you can remain master of your own mind. The monks listened quietly. The Buddha continued, when someone gives you anger, do not accept it immediately. When someone gives you hatred, do not carry it in your heart. Ask yourself, is this anger useful? Will this hatred bring peace? Will revenge truly remove suffering? The monks understood. Most conflicts continue because people respond without awareness. One angry word creates another. One harmful action creates another. One moment of revenge creates a new cycle of pain. But when someone chooses patience, the cycle can stop. The Buddha said, "The Buffalo King ended the cycle of violence." He could have allowed anger to continue. He could have answered cruelty with cruelty. But he chose another path. He chose compassion. He chose wisdom. He chose peace. This was the reason the Buffalo King was remembered. Not because he was physically powerful, not because he defeated an enemy, but because he conquered the most difficult enemy, his own anger. The Buddha then reminded the monks, "Do not underestimate small acts of patience. A gentle word can prevent conflict. A moment of silence can prevent regret. A compassionate thought can change the direction of the mind." Small choices create great transformations. The monks felt great joy and inspiration. They understood that the path of Dharma was not separated from daily life. Every conversation was practice. Every relationship was practice. Every difficulty was practice. The Buddha's teachings were not only meant to be heard. They were meant to be lived. The Buddha then concluded, "Even when I was born as an animal, I practiced patience. I did not allow anger to control my actions. I did not allow hatred to enter my heart. Therefore, those who now follow the path of Dharma should practice even more carefully. Cultivate a gentle heart. Guard your thoughts. Watch your emotions. Do not let temporary anger destroy the peace you have cultivated." The monks bowed respectfully. Their hearts were filled with understanding. They remembered the suffering caused by the monkey's arrogance. They remembered the wisdom of the Buffalo King. They remembered the compassion of the tree spirit. They understood that every being has the ability to choose a different path. A person may be angry today and peaceful tomorrow. A person may be ignorant today and wise tomorrow. Transformation begins with one conscious choice. The Buddha looked at the assembly and said, "Those who practice patience plant the seeds of peace. Those who practice compassion create a world with less suffering. Those who conquer their own anger have already achieved a great victory." After hearing the Buddha's teaching, the monks' hearts became open and clear. They no longer viewed patience as weakness. They no longer viewed kindness as surrender. They understood that patience was the strength of a disciplined mind. Compassion was the power of a purified heart. Wisdom was the light that guided them through difficulties. From that day onward, the monks sincerely practiced patience. When they encountered harsh words, they remembered the Buffalo King. When they faced anger, they remembered compassion. When they experienced conflict, they remembered wisdom. And gradually, their hearts became softer, calmer, and more peaceful. Thus ended the story of the patient Buffalo King. A story about a buffalo who refused to hate. A story about a monkey who learned through consequences. A story about a tree spirit who discovered the meaning of true strength. And a story that reminds all beings, the strongest person is not the one who can defeat others. The strongest person is the one who can conquer themselves.